Hey, welcome to all of you. Welcome to our home. I wish that you were here in our home right now because what I'd really like to do is have a conversation with you as opposed to making a presentation to you. And when I choose to do these lives, they're not announced, there's no time. And I'm doing it just on the off chance that the one person out there who is desperately looking for and needing what we provide, I do these lives in the hopes that I can catch that one. And of course, I'd love it if there's more than one. But I remember at times in my life when I have needed something to be right. I've needed it so badly, and I've been grateful when something has appeared. And I'm hoping this is that moment for you. Welcome to LEV AI. That is an abbreviation. It stands for Leveraging Artificial Intelligence, the name of a brand new company. Before we even go into our discussion, I'd like you to stop and consider for a moment when you saw your first computer. I remember when I saw my first computer. Andy Kay was a friend of mine. He'd launched a company called K Pro Computer, and he believed that his company would be the Apple of the world. And of course, Stephen Jobs' company wound up being the Apple. But Andy Kay that day said, Randy, there will come a time when every desk will have a desktop on it. He couldn't yet see, he didn't call it a desktop. He said every desk will have a box on it. And he couldn't see the moment, nor could I, when it would be first desktops and then laptops and then handhelds. But he was right. He said the day will come when the entire world will adopt this technology. And he encouraged me to get involved, not just to be a user of the technology, but to get involved. And his field of vision was broad. Mine was short. And I didn't. I just used it. A couple of years later, I had another chance, similar to that chance. What was that? The internet came along. And once again, I was faced with the opportunity to use it, but I didn't become a conduit to other people's use. And just like when I saw that first box on the desk, I could not see that one day widespread global adoption was inevitable. I could not see the day that I first saw and experienced the internet that widespread adoption was inevitable. I did not become a conduit to that adoption. And now we have another chance. We have an opportunity right now before us. When I say welcome to LEV AI, I'm welcoming you to the possibility of leveraging artificial intelligence for your own purpose and for the purposes of others as well. And I invite you to stop and ask yourself this question. Did you, did I, did we have a choice to adopt computerization? Or was it in fact thrust upon us, mandated by societal norms? We didn't have a choice. If you think you did, you're naive. We didn't have a choice. It was adopt or be left behind. Did we have a choice to adopt the internet? I didn't. I could not begin to function in my world and society today were I not online. Just like that, folks, I want you to know, this time we can see the future coming with more clarity. Actually, Andy Kay saw it coming way back then. The entire world will adopt AI. It has begun. It's happening. The question is, will I simply use? That'll be thrust upon us. No choice there. Or will we become a conduit to other people's use and perhaps have an incredible financial breakthrough as a result? Right now, really and truly, and no kidding, the future is in your hands. But let's try to mitigate a little bit of the risks that are typically a part of the entrepreneurial experience. We know that for one to have a tremendous financial breakthrough, he or she will be required to create a foundation upon which others build. If we build upon a foundation created by another, we can generate income. If we want to have a complete breakthrough, if we want to create wealth, we must create the wave that others catch in the future. We must build the foundation others build upon and try to find a way to mitigate the risks of being early in the development of a business. We've got that on our side. We're so fortunate that our company is one of the portfolio companies of a gentleman named Terry LaCour. We operate under his ecosystem, under his umbrella, if you will. And that gives us the complete safety and security of knowing that one of the world's fine entrepreneurs with enormous financial resources and business acumen is providing the resources and the overall guidance. I'm also so thrilled that Terry, I could not make this choice, but Terry elected to hire my son, Blake Schroeder, as the president of this company to guide it from its point of infancy, from this moment of genesis into the future. It was a great hire. Of course, I think that. Blake's my son. But there are reasons beyond that it was a great hire. Blake grew up in the home of an entrepreneur. He has that baked into his blood. It's in his DNA. Blake is an attorney, and so he understands the complexities of growing a business on a global scale. Blake has also been on the administrative side of some very, very successful ventures in and out of direct selling. Blake was the general counsel for a company called Monavie, later ran the Israeli office for that company, later became responsible for all of Latin America, North America, and Europe for a company doing well in excess of $750 million in sales. Now, Blake's next assignment, his next success, he became the CEO of Medical Marijuana Incorporated at a time when the end of the prohibition of cannabis was about the most widely talked about subject. But when you think about it, it was widely talked about. But was it widely talked about like AI is today? Not even remotely close. I have an idea of what it's like to be in front of an idea whose time has come, but I don't know what it's like to be in front of an idea like this one that demands global adoption. I am grateful for the overall umbrella of Terry LaCour, and I am grateful for the direct day-to-day guidance this company will receive from Blake. When I began engaging in conversations, as you may well have already started talking about AI. If you've not started talking about it, you've probably heard others talking about it. And they're talking about it everywhere. They're talking about it on middle school buses and high school buses. They're talking about it in the coach cabins of airliners. They're talking about it in the first class cabin of airlines. They're talking about it in corporate jets. And they're talking about AI, artificial intelligence, in some of the most important boardrooms in the world. Here we see Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Google, one of the most influential men in business and tech in the world. He states this, he says, AI, artificial intelligence, is more profound than fire or electricity or anything we've done in the past. That's a big statement, isn't it? I'm not over sure what that says to you. What it says to me is if I look back over my shoulder, whatever my greatest successes were, and in fact the greatest successes of mankind up until this moment, have been predicated upon then existing knowledge and then existing technology. Those successes will pale compared to future successes that you can have, that I can have, that we can have together. Why? Because AI is more profound than fire or electricity or anything we've done in the past. And here we see the deepest mind in DeepMind, Demis Hassabis, who states that the difference here with artificial intelligence is it's going to be 10 times bigger than the Industrial Revolution and maybe 10 times faster. These are some incredible statements being made by some very, very wise and brilliant men. I think that it demands that we open our eyes, we open our ears, we open our hearts to the possibility that we look with a discerning eye, but we look quickly. If in fact this will be 10 times bigger than the Industrial Revolution, and it will, how do I know? Because the population is 10 times greater than it was at the time of the Industrial Revolution, and because this is equally profound, perhaps more profound. Sundar Pichai says so, more profound than fire or electricity or anything we have done in the past. AI should not be feared. When I listen to the chatter, I hear some enthusiastic and a lot of confusion and some fear. Nothing to be afraid of here. This is a little bit of magic that we can capture, put in a bottle to our best advantage. Here it states that 61% of all professional marketers are using AI in some form. But what they're using is a mismatch, a hodgepodge, a bunch of confusing applications that don't communicate very one with another. 61%, that's a big percentage. It's an overstated figure. If one considers what is happening with the general adoption of AI, it's 6 or 7% globally of all people who are beyond sixth grade. But as a professional marketer, 61%. Now stop and ask yourself this question. What percentage of professional marketers do you suppose use computers? Well, it's 100%. That's the percent who will use AI. What percent of professional marketers use the internet? 100%. That's the percentage of professional marketers that will use AI. What percentage of the 8 billion people on earth are over sixth grade? That's the percentage of people on earth who at least periodically benefit or use computers. That's the same number, folks. It's 7 billion people on earth who use the internet. That's the same number of people who are going to use AI. The question is, are we among those who will be conduits to their use? And when it states there's a 38% improvement in results, that is only because people are using the mix match, the hodgepodge, the confusing group of apps that don't communicate one with another. When they have learned how to leverage AI, and we're going to teach them, that's going to turn into 380 on its way to 3,800 and beyond. A 38% increase. That is certainly not reflective of an idea that is more powerful than fire or electricity, or than something to be 10 times bigger than the Industrial Revolution. And so you can see the beginnings of improved results are a tiny, tiny, tiny fraction of that which is anticipated and which can be experienced. And here I just find great joy in this. I find joy in the entire conversation. Why? Because I'm an entrepreneur. I have been my whole life. And here it states that LEV AI makes it simple for entrepreneurs to launch, market, and grow businesses. It's what I've always done, folks. And I'm almost giddy as I contemplate and consider the fact that we now have at our fingertips possibilities that did not exist ever before in the whole history of mankind, never before. And now we have something literally that we can harness that will put a multiplier on our personal results, put a multiplier on our personal productivity that nothing else could ever. Clear says the earth's crust cooled. That's the truth. And we do it all with no expensive CMO agency or complicated tech skills required. I've referenced the various challenges that firms experience as they begin to use artificial intelligence. And it's this combination, one application for my CRM or customer relationship management software, one application to grow my social media presence, one application to grow and maintain my website, one application, on it goes. Each of these applications, unfortunately, uniquely stand alone. They don't cooperate with each other, and they have individual costs associated one with another. We have a single solution to those problems. It is LEV AI. When one learns to leverage artificial intelligence, a variety of things will occur. First, it talks about the ability to grow and maintain a candidate list. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm aware that there are 388 million small businesses in America, and there are some similarities to all of them. There are some uniquenesses, but the similarities all are each entrepreneur would like to have more buyers or users of their product or service. They all would. They would all like to have a longer lifespan of each client or customer relationship. They would all like to have improved revenue flow from each relationship. They would all like to have, for the benefit of the relationship and for our company, increased profitability as a result of providing more value to the customer. The single biggest challenge all entrepreneurs face is having a steady, consistent stream of newcomers to our business. This is not something I think, it is something I know. The tools you will learn about and shortly begin to use will grant to you a unique ability to have a never-ending stream of people who want to hear what you have to say, as opposed to you having to provoke that conversation. And I'm going to skip clear down to the next last bullet point where it says, removes the fear of failure. Well, how exactly shall we do that? It's the simplest thing, folks. How about if we engage people in a process, utilize technology and processes which cause them to succeed? One won't have fear of failure if they have an experience of success. This is the simplest thing I've ever heard. Let's engage people in a process utilizing technology which results in their steady, consistent success. And then there'll be no reason to fear failure. Welcome to LEV AI. And then we have a host of challenges that are addressed in this one technology. First, it's very clear now, after multiple decades of social media influence in the world, that one can, in fact, measure one's future results by measuring the amount of influence one has. And one can accurately measure the amount of influence, in most cases, by reviewing a social media profile, by looking at all that one has going on in their social media presence. A person who has 20 million followers or friends or contacts has influence, and that gives them value in the marketplace. A person who has 200 or 300 contacts has very little influence and a corresponding small market value. Pretty magic. When one begins to use the inclusive part of the process, part of the package, CRM, customer or contact relationship management software, when one begins to use that CRM inclusive in our product group, immediately I think one will find an ability to discontinue a subscription to a competing service. Our CRM does everything any other CRM does, but it does so many things other CRMs do not do. Imagine simple screenshot import. You take a picture and boom, it's imported. And then immediately, your AI resources inclusive in the LEV AI solution begin searching and scanning, reviewing, and learning about the life of each person you've imported by doing what? By scanning, not scanning just, by scouring their social media presences. This is so important. It was a decade into my career building teams before I finally realized I had a kind of a wake-up call, a moment of clarity, when I could see that for a decade I had been trying to persuade other people to do something I wanted them to do. And why did I want them to do it? For some economic advantage of my own. Backwards thinking. I've come to realize that if I can completely set aside, if I can somehow find a way to put a barrier between me and my want and need, if all I can see is your want and need, what I've come to realize is that when I focus on another's need, on another's want, then the laws of the universe conspire on my behalf, and they will conspire on your behalf as well, and you'll begin to have positive outcomes because other people had positive outcomes. Obviously, that can't happen if we don't know what other people want. This is a magic bit of our process. Now you get to address the needs of other people as opposed to addressing your own needs. Now you get to allow your positive outcome to come as a direct side effect of helping other people accomplish what they want. There's something about that that is fairly clearly fundamentally good. This is an improvement in the way that business and commerce is conducted. I love the fact that not only will one no longer have to spend money on a CRM, but whatever money's been being spent on website maintenance and creation also no longer has to be spent because that is inclusive in the product. And I promise you, I've done it myself. It is about a 5-minute, 7-click, boom, 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 until you have a fully published website on the World Wide Web. And I'm not talking about a simple replicated site such as is common or prevalent in direct selling companies. No, I'm talking about a technology-laden, tech-rich, personality-centered, your message website to which you can attach shopping carts or anything else. The difference in this and a site created by a tech firm is you're not going to spend a couple of $1,000s for it. And now we get to some of the really, really important parts. Over the course of my career, I have never, not in my whole life, I've never met an individual who has done that which is required to succeed in a given project, but failed because they've done it poorly. It's never happened. I'll say it again. I've never encountered a single person who has done that which is required to succeed, but done it poorly and therefore failed. What I have met, unfortunately, is countless tens of thousands of people in my career who have simply not done that which was required to succeed. And I think there are a variety of reasons for that, but I think the biggest one is this. Trying to transition from the relative comfort of employment. Relative comfort? Well, yes, you're told when to go to work, and so you don't have to decide. You're told when you can leave, so you don't have to decide. You are told what your insurance provisions will be, and so you have to shop for them. You are told when your vacations will be. You see, you react to the demands of an employer. In some respects, there's comfort, safety, and security in that. When one finds out that the shoes of employment don't fit well, I'm an example of one who need not ever be employed. I want to work when I want, where I want, with whom I want, and if I want. If that sounds like you, then the role of entrepreneurship is more appropriate than the role of employment. But transitioning from the reactive role of employment to the proactive role, making your own decisions. I must be at the office by 7 because there's work to be done, not I must be there by 8 because that's when the workday begins. You see, that's different. Anything we can do to ease the transition from reactivity to proactivity will assure a far greater percentage of people successfully become entrepreneurs as opposed to retreating back to the world of employment. And so, when you contemplate that 700 million people logged into ChatGPT in the last week somewhere in the world, why? Because they were looking for answers. They were looking for solutions to problems. But the solutions they gained were generic solutions. They were pulled from the internet at large. What if instead it was pulled from your personalized GPT? And now it is not generic information, but it's your life experience or your coach or mentor's life experience, which is loaded into that GPT such that a specific, not vague solution is provided to the question that is posed. And what if that were then set up to create daily prompts where step by step by step, that newest participant is reminded through the first day, the first 30, the first 90, the first 100 days, or however long you tell it to, they are getting the daily prompt. And as they get the prompt over the course of the day, your next step is, your next step is, your next step is, then you see Cicero will once again be borne out. He said, the skill to do comes from the doing. And so I gather knowledge when I act upon the prompts. When I act upon the prompts, I develop skill. The very utilization of the product, in fact, lets me leverage myself because I can be all over the world at one time, speaking in 150 languages. It also is teaching me, growing me, turning me into something more than I was before I started using. Because I gather new knowledge, I have a new ability to act on that knowledge through the daily prompts. The skill to do comes from the doing. And suddenly, as a result of having more knowledge, more skill, and the almost inevitable process of personal growth and development, character refinement, the day comes when I've emerged as a leader. And when that day comes, you know how I know when that day comes? Because then other people look for me and I no longer have to look for other people. That happened a long time ago for me. That can happen for you. I would like nothing more than for LEV AI to be a conduit to that reality. And I'd love to help you along that way too. The monthly lead program. Over the course of my career, I've been hesitant because if a person pays for a lead and then they don't get a new customer or a new team member, that can lead to resentment, obviously the opposite of what we'd like to do. But what if there was no added cost? What if there were 2 billion searchable leads and you got access to a portion of those every month simply as a part of your subscription? What if those leads were never delivered more than once in every 11 months and never more than twice in the life of that lead? And now you have the opportunity to pave the way between reactivity and proactivity, because in the middle you've got someone who said, I want to know more about that project. Can you explain it? Is it not obvious that that's an easier conversation to enter than provoking the conversation? I have a product that might be beneficial for you. Would you like to talk? The provoking a conversation is so much more difficult than joining a conversation. Talked about quite a few solutions already, but there is more. And this is it. The more is that each person will have their own digital twin. And I have seen some of these digital twins, folks, and it is nearly non-discernible from the source of that digital cloning. The difference is that digital twin has no limitation to its knowledge, to the knowledge that can be added to it in a matter of hours, and it will speak fluently in 150 languages. The company will go live. Now, I am not a corporate employee, officer, or director. I'm telling you something I think, not something I know. The company will go live somewhere around the 10th, perhaps between the 10th and the 15th of September. That's when it's going to happen, sometime between the 10th and 15th of September, handful of days away. And when it goes live, there will be 2 packages offered. There is a $19 fee simply to become a member, and a $19 annual. So it's $19 to become a member and $19 annually. The basic package has a purchase price of $49. The Pro package has a purchase price of $99. There will be added features in the future and a third package added. I'm not exactly sure when. And so what exactly is included? And by the way, that was a remarkably small price. Let me say it again. $19 to have access to the technology and $19 per year going forward. The package, a one-time purchase of $49 or $99, and then a monthly subscription fee of that $49 and $99 to utilize the following. Each package has your own AI video twin, your likeness, your voice, speaking the way you speak with your mannerisms, but in 150 languages. A personalized AI writing assistant, this part of the process that grows your social media presence. You'll be guided and prompted every step of the way. Multiple business profiles. Why? Maybe you have more than one message to deliver. Maybe you are a life insurance broker and you also build a team in a direct selling company or some similar combination. You see, you need to have multiple themes cooked into your virtual twin, which is possible. AI-powered social growth and engagement. Once again, the ongoing, never-ending process. It is not an event, but an ongoing, never-ending process that starts the day you subscribe and receive the product, begin to use it, and let it do what it does. You'll begin steadily, very, very steadily, immediately, you'll begin seeing an expanded social media presence, which is doing what? It is improving your market value over time. Instant Internet Web Builder, and right above that, that CRM with screenshot import and candidate profiling, telling you what they want to hear, as opposed to trying to tell them what you believe they should want to hear. An enhanced CRM with a complete funnel, taking the candidate from the first moment of introduction, guiding them steadily through a pattern of activities and information gathering, which leads each one to their point of logical conclusion, whatever it is. Notice I didn't say I'm going to try to convince them of anything. I'm not going to try to sell them anything. I'm not going to try to close them on anything. What we'd like to do is understand what's important to you, understand what's important to each next potential user of the service. Then, having understood what's important to you, try to ascertain with you how we can utilize this technology together to help you accomplish your objectives a little more quickly and have them become bigger. You see, if we can help you do that, then logic says there'll be a positive financial and personal outcome to those who introduce it to you. That's the way our business works. That's our model. And then over 2 billion searchable prospects, once again, granting each person the ability to more gradually and gracefully transition from a point of complete reactivity to complete proactivity, having that middle ground in between. Absolutely a brilliant concept, and this will be the difference in a lack of success and modest success for many. It'll be the difference in modest success and meaningful success for many. And it will provoke for those few who are at a personal place in their lives, who have a burning desire so great that they're willing to make a few sacrifices right now, to walk past a few other things they would like to do to give this the right amount of energy. Believe it or not, there are people who acted upon this message less than 3 weeks ago who have over 10,000 people in their business already. Over 10,000 people who will begin subscribing to this product. They've already filled out the online registration form, waiting for the product to go live between the 10th and the 15th. 10,000 people, folks. I mean, as any of you, do you believe that you can do what 10,000 people can do? Of course not. 10,000 people can do in an afternoon what it might take the rest of us 10 years to do. Put to use in your life as you learn to leverage AI, learn also how to leverage other people's efforts and successes. And now bang the gong and ring the bell, because for those of you who become willing, you are one of those whose personal timing is right. You are one who has just simply made a decision. The way that I've been living life is not the way that I want to live life. It's just that decision. I would like to live a life in the absence of financial pressure, and whatever I've been doing has not created that. I want to change. Well, if that's you, and you're willing at this moment in time to gather some knowledge, develop some skills, and if necessary, refine character, then you push yourself against the grinding wheel and will emerge in the not too distant future at or about the top. And when that happens, you will suddenly have an interactive digital clone that literally is conversant. I can be one place in the world and I can speak one language. My digital twin can be everywhere in the world at the same time, and it can speak the language of the person with whom it is communicating, irrespective of what that language is. Bang the gong, ring the bell, folks. Shout it from the rooftops. This is a magic moment, and it's a magic moment with absolutely unparalleled value. I believe that at least $300 per month will be saved by using this service, maybe $800, as a result of the ability to finally jettison all of the unused and relatively inefficient applications that people are using today, trying to get some little toehold into the world of AI. There is no slide that can adequately describe what our market opportunity is. Really, there's not. What percentage of people in the world today use computers? Right, everybody? That's the percentage of people who are going to use AI. And so how do you measure that opportunity? What percentage of people in the world today use the internet? Just about everybody. That's the percentage of people who are going to use AI. And here we have a unique entry into the world that makes this remarkable emerging technology accessible not just to tech wizards and not just to marketing gurus, but to tens of millions, hundreds of millions, 8 billion people in the world, folks. 7 billion of them are going to use AI. There's not much limitation. The magnitude of the market is as big as your dream, and it is as big as your vision. That is the truth. So we simply decide, will we use the technology? And that's not a decision. That will be decided for us, like it was decided for us that we would use computers. It was decided for us that we would go online. It's already been decided for you that you're going to use artificial intelligence, like it or not. That decision's been made. So the only decision that we get to make is, will we be the conduit to other people's use, such that we have the potential for a complete, total, absolute financial breakthrough? Well, if so, when you are the introductory factor, when you're the one who said, hey, what do you know about AI? Watch this video clip and learn how to leverage AI. That's the sum total of what it takes in most cases for you to become the conduit to someone else's purchase. And when they make that purchase, you get paid 50% of their purchase price. That's called an acquisition bonus. They paid $50, they paid $100, and you get paid 50% of what they did. Now, I'm always very careful. I don't want to talk about my results. They don't matter. I want to talk about your results. But I think it was 18 days ago, that I had heard about this and began contemplating it sometime previously, but 18 days ago, and I'll here share with you the truth. I didn't have a moment of clarity and suddenly sit up in bed and say, oh my gosh, it is AI. No, I was beating my head against the wall in a project that was not working, and it was evident to me that it was not about to work. That then gave me reflection on conversations I'd had last fall. I said, I know the solution to my problem. If you're beating your head against the wall today with something that's not working, stop beating your head against the wall. Instead, identify that which is working, and then you become a conduit to that which is destined to occur in broader scale. And then you can ring the bell. When you're the one who makes that introduction, you earn that acquisition bonus. And by the way, in the home-based business world, it's very common for companies to make kind of an artificial currency. They call it PV, personal volume, or CV, commissionable volume. An amount of money comes into the company, call it $1,000, and then they only apply $600 or $700 goes into the comp plan. This much cash came in, but this much PV. Now, we don't do that. A dollar coming into the company is a dollar going into the compensation plan. In today's world, we want to meet you where you are. If you are one of those handful of people who has done something the world all noticed and they applaud, maybe you caught a Super Bowl touchdown pass and the world knows your name, well, then you might be considered an influencer. That means that people will act upon your imprimatur, your notoriety, your moment in the sun, your 15 minutes of fame, resulted in people wanting to do what you do. Well, that means you're an influencer. For people like that who have influence, we have a special provision. We'll pay 20% of all first-generation revenue, because not being paid through multiple generations, just 20% paying you for that notoriety that you've gained. If, on the other hand, you, like me, have not had that moment in the sun that creates profound influence, I mean, there are not people all around the world who say, oh my gosh, if Randy's using that product, I have to use it too. That's not the truth. I didn't catch a Super Bowl pass. What I have done, however, is learn how to identify people of goodwill and intent who want more, who are willing to do more to get more. And I've been taught a proved and predictable pattern of activities to help them build teams. If you are among that category who are a team builder, then understand the compensation plan will provide for everyone that 20% on generation one. But for those of you who build teams, you're used to earning leveraged income. You know that there's twice as many people on generation 2 as 1, and twice as many people on 3 as 2, and twice as many on generation 8 as 7. And so earning small bits of income on large numbers of people, that produces leverage. It's also highly attractive. This compensation plan is a very simple, easy to understand, and lucrative 8-generation deep unilevel plan, paying 20% of cash on generation 1 and 4% of cash on generations 2 through 7. But whenever something is really hot, I mean red hot, listen to the market to know what's hot. I listened to the market. I got involved in a project in February of this year that on the surface sounded kind of good to me, but the market didn't think it was good. It was a reintroduction of a video email product that had been hot in 2007. And though it had some parts of the idea that looked good to me, the market just said no. How did it say no? It took 7 months of monumental effort to assemble a group of about 900 people utilizing the technology. The market just said no. It took 7 months to arrive at 800 or 900 people. The market has said yes to this idea so loudly. 17 days ago was the first time that we whispered the message, and today there are over 11,500 people who have filled out an application to be among the first users of the product when it goes live in a couple of weeks. It took me 8 months to assemble a group of 900 users with a technology the market said no to. Today, we are receiving more than 1,000 applications per day. Listen to the market. Listen to the market. When the idea is right, you cannot stop it. It has a degree of inevitability. Today, we have more new adherents to this process on a daily basis than it took 7 months to create. What was different? The person? No, the opportunity. If you're not accomplishing what you want, it's likely that you'll need to gather some new knowledge, but it's also highly likely that the project you're involved with is not electric enough to put that multiplier on your results. This is your moment. But when it goes fast, as I just described, from nothing to 11,000 people in 17 days, then we know that there will be way more people who need to be taught then there are people who have gathered the knowledge and developed the skills to teach them. And so there must be a provision in the compensation plan to cause people to work very, very deep in organizations, not just through an 8-generation block of payout. And that is what the infinity bonus does, pays indefinitely until leadership has recreated itself. And then the leverage bonus, unique to my career. I've been involved in comp plans with matching bonuses paid because other people succeed, but always only on a part of the comp plan, typically team commissions. Here, the leverage bonus incorporates all parts of the plan. Someone in your first 4 generations of enrollment tree earns an acquisition bonus. They were the conduit to someone else's use. You get a matching bonus. Someone earns a team commission. They've begun to build a structure. You get a matching bonus. The volume runs fast and far because the project is so red hot. Someone in your first 4 generations gets an infinity payout, and you get a matching bonus. Well, the question that I pose to me, and that I ask you to pose to yourself as well, is given that we are going online application, there will be no cost associated with it until such time as we go live. And again, I'm telling you, this is my opinion. It's not a company announcement. But between the 10th and the 15th of September is when that card will be charged. $9 or $19 for your annual fee, and either $49 or $99 for your product package. So no charge today. But if you would like to utilize those coming 10 or 12 or 14 days to assemble a team, see, it's easier to say yes when you don't have to fund the yes today. I'm one of those people who has more than 10,000 folks in my business, more than 11,000 folks in a very short period of time, less than 3 weeks. Easier. Why? Because people can see the power, the magnitude of the opportunity. There's no question about that. And it's just easier to say yes and not have to fund the yes today, especially if one just gives it some thought. Wow, you didn't know this. Tonight at 9 o'clock Eastern time, I will do a business presentation. And you could invite 3 or 4 people to be there with you, and you could fund your yes with the yeses of other people. That's kind of a neat thought, isn't it? I've had people participate in a noon presentation. We do one each day in this pre-launch environment. Participate as a guest. Have 10 guests on the evening presentation at 9 o'clock and have a business by 10 o'clock their first day. Well, it's all about you. It's all about what you want. But if you would like to have that experience, send me a message. I'll send you the online registration link, and I'll also send to you the WhatsApp group registration link, so you'll have our communications, know what's happening, when and why. The telephone number is 813, of course, +1, 813-990-7651. 813-990-7651. Either 17 or 18 days ago, I had this conversation for the first time. Here we are, 17 or 18 days later. Samantha and I, we've personally enrolled now, I think 117 people is the number personally. And we have over 11,000 people in our organization. That's happened in 17 days. Every once in a while, not very frequently, but every once in a while, a concept comes along that is so correct for the time that one can accomplish in a matter of days or weeks what it might otherwise take years. This is one of those moments in time, period. It's not that it might be. This is one of those moments. The question is it the right moment for you? If it is, act upon this now. Act upon it with big energy. Let me help. Let's go all the way to the top. God bless you, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.